Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 28 of FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock mode. Real quick note, I tried to install Optifine to get rid of the the zoom change when you get the speed buff. However, I couldn't get it to play nice with the pack. I think it collides with Fastcraft. They both do all the same performance, improvements, but Fastcraft does a bunch of other things that make it basically if I had to use one or the other, I'm using Fastcraft. But that means that I don't get to use Optifine's get rid of the change field of view with speed buff feature. Oh well, just a minor thing. Anyways, to get us started today, I would like to put some of this iridium we have to use. So we now have a bunch of iridium because we have a lot of power. A lot of power means our our mass fabricator, it's fabricating not mass, not doing math, is running a lot faster. I'm just noticing that it's actually out of scrap sometimes. So I tried putting the 11th overclocker into the recyclers. It doesn't actually make it any faster. It might actually, I don't think it makes it any slower, but it runs in one tick without the 11th overclocker. And it might, I don't know, does it take 2 ticks with it? Or is that just a graphics thing? In any event, the 11th one definitely doesn't help, and it might hurt. So let me get rid of that. But even without the 11th overclocker, we're still not producing scrap fast enough. So I think our cobble gen is plenty fast, right? Why don't we just put more recyclers down? So right now I have 10 recyclers. I can just upgrade to 30 without having to add any more cobblestone generators. Seems like a good start. We'll use the iridium later. Of course, 20 more recyclers means we're going to need a lot more overclockers as well. I have 10, so it'll be another 190. Thank goodness this will be auto-crafted. Over 1,000 tin plates. These come out of the automation that we set up a couple episodes ago, so I don't have to wait for this. The slowest part of this process will actually be the literal crafting of insulated copper cables. On that note, that probably means it's about time that we put the acceleration cards in all these molecular assemblers. Oh my gosh, that's so much clicking. Dreading it. In fact, I'm dreading it so much, I'm just going to put it off because I don't want to do it. It's too much clicking. If there was like an easy way that I could just, throw 10 stacks of acceleration cards at it and have them get put in, I would do it. But to open each interface and too much work. We're probably also going to need a bunch more world interaction upgrades. Right now there's 32 per transfer node. We probably need double that. So let's see, that's another 320. Yeah, just 1,000 diamonds, casually. Oh boy, we don't have any diamonds left. Maybe have to be a little bit less casual with my diamond expenditure, huh? Wait a second, I picked up all my recyclers with the electric wrench and I still got 2 basic machine casings back. I think I have to set the wrench to lossless mode somehow, right? Is that what I forgot to do? I hate you, IC2. Did you know that, IC2? I absolutely hate your guts. Are you serious? It takes more than half the wrench's energy to pick up in lossless mode? IC2, you're not making me like you anymore. I have one of these, right? This can charge my wrench. My gosh, are you serious? It charges the wrench so slowly. Nope, needs more than that. More than that. It takes like 10 KEU out of your wrench to pick up a machine? Are you serious? Well, I'll be thankful I learned this lesson on a useless cheap machine like a recycler, and I mean, I guess there's no single machine that I'd like. If I actually had to remake it, big deal. But it feels less bad to lose a recycler than it does to, say, lose a mass fabricator, right? Anyways, distributing all these upgrades now. I'm noticing that a lot of these recyclers are blinking out because their internal buffers are draining. They actually only have enough internal buffer energy for 1 or 2 ticks of operation, which is why this is happening. And the power sources here aren't getting around to charging every single recycler every single tick. So to fix that, we can just increase their internal buffer with one of these upgrades. The energy storage upgrade is what we need, and we only need one per recycler. I've crafted and distributed all of the energy storage upgrades. The default buffer is only like 500 EU, so 10,000, significant, it's a 20x increase. 21x technically, right? Because it keeps its original 500. Anyways, the machines are continuing to blink, but that just becomes, they're becoming output stuffed. So I assume that means that this drawer is full and that you are running with scrap all the time now. Perfect. All right, well, I guess that's our iridium production solved, or lack of scrap in it solved. Just in the time we took to solve that problem, we've generated 9 more pieces of iridium ore. All in all, I have 934 pieces of iridium ore. I'm going to use it to make the big reactor's turbine now. So each turbine consists of 32 ludicrite blocks, a controller, 1 or more power ports, 2 or more fluid ports, a rotor bearing, and a bunch of shafts and blades. And I guess I forgot one piece to pin here, that is the housing itself. Alright, I guess I'll just start crafting. Each turbine should have 80 rotor blades, and it's kind of up to you if you want, well, up to 80 rotor blades. It's kind of up to you the exact layout. I prefer to have my blades be too long, so there's what, like 8 blades per segment, so 10 segments of blades. You can only have 8 ludicrite blocks. This is what forms like the like the electromagnetic coil part of your turbine. So that's 4, right? 4 by 8 is 32. So in total, the multi-block is 15 long, I believe, and it's 7 by 7. So it is huge. Let's build, I guess let's start with 1, but I think I have enough supplies for at least 3. For making ludicrite, there's 2 recipes. I'm just going to use the one that uses Enderium because, well, it's easier. Well, I guess it's easier for me. If you have a nether star supply but no Enderium supply, it's easier to use the nether star one, obviously. Ugh, I hate importing recipes when, like, none of it imports correctly. Another component in that ludicrite is this plutonium stuff. So the only way to make this is, well, other than from the dust, in a cyanite reprocessor. Cyanite is a spent yellorium fuel. So just throw it in a cyanite processor, wait a little while, and get plutonium out. The plutonium can also be used as fuel in place of yellorium, but I don't know. Now that, like, technically, if you fully recycle it, you can effectively double the yield of your yellorium, right? Because it's a geometric series. Each yellorium becomes 1 cyanite. Every 2 cyanite becomes 1 plutonium, so that's like the multiplier in your geometric series. And then the geometric series with the multiplier of half converges to 2. But that's your math lesson from me for today. Why do I have 2 storage keys? We just need a little bit of this for crafting purposes, though. I'm basically just throwing away my cyanite. Too lazy to reprocess it all. It takes a lot of cyanite reprocessors to keep up with these reactors because, well, as you can see, it's pretty slow. Given the extremely large size of the turbines, I find it best to stack them vertically so that you don't take up like your entire base with turbines. So 7 by 7, which is basically one of these cells, and 16 long. So I guess that's exactly 1 chunk. All right, let's just start building. I'll build one side with turbine glass so we can see into it, and the rest will just be out of turbine housings. Building my turbines, I always start by laying out the structure first. You'll need to place a controller on one side and 2 of the fluid ports. Right-click one of them with a wrench to set it to output. And then after that, I fill in the center. So I kind of forget which side the bearing goes on. It either goes on the side with the coils or the side without. And I'm just going to guess one and we'll figure out if I was right later. So place that and then place your... Let's see, get your rotor and your coils. I don't have, I'm still waiting for plutonium to process to make the coils. So for now, place the rotor shafts. They're Okay, no, they automatically snap to each other, so I guess the direction doesn't matter. You have to run the entire length of the turbine, and then you place your rotor blades. So for these, you can, they just stick off the shaft. It's up to you. If you do a skinny reactor or a skinny turbine, you can make it so you only put 4 blades per slice. I like the fatter one that gets you 8. So there will be 10 slices that have rotor blades, and then the last 4 slices will be for the coil material. So do I have 2 stacks of this yet? I do not. I might even make a second side processor to speed things up a little bit. Let's do that. Cheap, right? Yeah, 3 pieces of plutonium, whatever. Ludicrite is the best coil material in big reactors, but it is pretty expensive. 567 Inderium ingots plus some other stuff. Still, we can afford it, so let's pay for the best. What we have to do then is place the coil material around the shaft, like so. And then let's get out of here, seal this up, and see if the multi-block forms. It appears like it did. All right, so then to run it, we have to provide it with steam. By the way, it looks like you need your rotor bearing on the opposite side of the coil. To run this, we need steam, and we'll convert one of our reactors, probably the small one, over to a steam generating reactor instead of a power generating one. To move the steam, for each reactor, you have to move 2 millibuckets per tick of steam. So that's far above what fluid conduits can do. If we look at fluid conduit, these go up to, because they don't need to extract, the machine does push, these go up to 800 millibuckets per tick. So technically you could use multiple fluid ports and use steam and use fluid conduits. But I prefer to actually just use tesseracts to teleport the steam back and forth. There is a fluid duct that can handle the unlimited flow rate. I don't even know how to spell fluid duct. There we go. The super laminar fluid duct. However, instead of going through the trouble to make this, you have to make ethereal glass, which you can, you have to either get a stabilized sigil to make the stabilized ingot, or just blowing yourself up for every piece of it. Yeah, instead of using that, I just prefer to use a tesseract. So to convert our reactor to a fluid reactor, we get rid of the energy port and replace it with a fluid port. Optionally 2 fluid ports. One for input, one for output. I guess it's called a coolant port on the reactor side. I'm going to include a 3rd coolant port right now, just to initially prime the system with water. Once you get the system running, it's technically a closed loop. So you don't need to add, you need to add more water as you add more total capacity. Each turbine adds a little bit of capacity. So it's easy enough just to leave a water pump to feed it water. The water pump doesn't have to pump water very fast, as I mentioned, because it is a closed loop. All the steam that goes out will be turned back into water and sent back. I suppose technically you can void the water on the way back and pump more water, but at 2 buckets a tick, right, per turbine, and you can run, I think it's either 3 or 4 turbines off this reactor. You're going to need an extremely fast water pump to keep up if you're not running it in closed loop mode. So anyways, let's see, this is the input. So we're going to put a tesseract here, give it a new channel, and we'll call that water. Yeah, that's it. Channel is water. This will be fluid receive. And then we'll put a tesseract on this side. By the time you do this, make sure you have robust tesseract production, by the way. You're going to need a lot of them. Put this to channel 2. This will be steam. And fluid send. Set these to both, ignore redstone signals. Perfect. So, as this thing produces steam, it gets sent out onto the steam channel, and ideally it gets returned on the water channel. So then over here on our reactor, this is the input port. So on the input port, we want steam. We want to, not items. we want to receive steam, and on the output one, we set it to water, and have you send water. Then we can turn this reactor on. Let's see, activate turbine, vent, overflow exhaust. And now it begins producing. So it has these reactors, or these turbines, have to spin up. While they're spinning up, their energy production is not very good. I guess let's look at all the UI here. So the first number is the RPM. It's most efficient at 900 or 1800 RPM. There's a little bit here about overspeed and catastrophic failure. These turbines do not fail catastrophically. I think that was a planned feature that just never ever got implemented, or it's there to scare you. I don't know. But as the turbine speed approaches 900, it goes up, and then as you go above 900, it actually goes down for a little bit until you get back to, like, I don't know, 1500, 1600, at which point it goes up again. So you want to run. It just so happens that if you use 80 blades, which is the maximum number of rotors, and 32 ludicrete blocks, it'll naturally stabilize at like just a hair over 1800 RPM or something. Nothing to worry about. So anyways, the energy output, that's just dependent on the RPM and the number of rotor blades. If you have too many blades, I think this number drops below 100%, but 80 blades is the ideal number, so it's ideal. Actually, quick correction. If you have less than 80 blades, this number can get below 100. You can manually restrict the flow. So like if you're giving 2000 millibuckets, you need 80 blades for 100% efficiency. But if you only have 40 blades, you can just set this to, 1000. But for, an optimal max size one, you want 2000 millibuckets per tick of fluid and all 80 blades. So as it spins up, let's get another tesseract. And this will be the power output. This is an energy producer, and it will send energy. All right. Now let's give this a little bit of time to spin all the way up so we can see how much energy it produces. Remember that to run one turbine, we had to convert our reactor over to steam mode. In steam mode, it's not producing any RF directly, so we lost the almost 12,000 RF a tick from this reactor, right? Instead, we'll get however much comes out of this turbine. But do bear in mind that we can run multiple turbines off that one reactor. The visuals on this turbine is actually pretty cool. That's why I intentionally made one side out of the glass. There's literally no benefit other than looking at the pretty spinniness. As it speeds up, we generate more power. So we are approaching the first sweet spot, which is right around 900. And until we get there, the power generation will keep going up. So even just here at 800 some RPM, it's producing more RF than the reactor was. So we've now, we've had a net benefit. One other thing we can do too is, now that we're running the reactor in steam mode, we can insert the control rods a little bit to reduce its fuel consumption. So right now with the fuel rods fully retracted, we're running extremely hot. This is actually probably using more fuel than we were before. But it's only producing 2000 millibuckets per tick of steam because that's all we're consuming. So let me go and retract these fuel rods a little bit. Let's hold control to change all rods and alt to go by 5. And I want them at around 50, maybe 60% insertion. At this point, we continue to still produce 2000 millibuckets a tick of steam, but our fuel consumption has dropped dramatically and our temperature will fall. As the temperature continues to fall, the fuel consumption will also continue to fall. See, we're no longer maxed on the bars. The simulator will tell you, if I cared, I could figure out the exact fuel rod percentage to produce exactly, just a hair over 2000 millibuckets per tick. But I'm going to be building a second turbine soon enough that it doesn't really matter. So anyways, now we are above the 900 sweet spot, and we can see as our turbine spins up faster, we actually start producing less energy. This trend will continue until we get to about, in my experience, about 14 to 1500. While I wait for the turbine to spin up the rest of the way, I'll just begin construction of the next one. found that opening the turbine controller UI crashes, well, disconnects me like half the time. But at this point, we're spun up to 1600 RPM. We're pretty close to the top speed this will get to, and it's already producing 21,500 and climbing RF. So, yeah, turbines, lots and lots and lots of power. These two turbines together will will definitely produce more power than this one reactor, while consuming significantly less fuel and, I don't know, consuming significantly more space, I guess. That's a downside, or what little that's worth. Anyways, my second turbine's also built. I'm working on the Tesseracts for it right now. I need one more. Hooked up Tesseracts to our new turbine, but before I turn it on, I want to make sure that our reactor is capable of producing enough steam to power it. So let's see, Control Alt, and let's bring you to like 30%. So this will still say 2,000 millibuckets per tick because it's not actually producing any more until we turn this on. Turn on, vent overflow. Where's your steam? Did I probably have my, no, that's set to input. Where's your steam? Oh, there's your steam. Are you actually recycling the water too? Tough to tell. I pasted the settings onto these test rats with the red print, and that appears to not work. Like they appear to work, but they're not actually set to the appropriate channels until you pick them up and place them again by the looks of things. At least that was the case with that steam, so I'm going to still do it with all of them just to be safe. Alright, there we go. So now the second turbine will also start spinning up. It's also consuming all 2,000 millibuckets of steam per tick. So if we look here now, we're producing 4,000 millibuckets of steam. The temperature also has continued to drop because the more steam you actually consume out of the reactor, the more active cooling there is going on. And our first reactor here has just about reached equilibrium. I think it has a little bit left to go. It'll get a little bit faster and produce a little bit more power. Off the top of my head, I seem to recall the magic number was somewhere in the 27,000 range. So it'll take like another 5 minutes to reach that point. But with two of these reactors, if they are turbines, when they're both fully spun up, producing 27,000 RF per tick each, that's 54,000 RF a tick. And that means that you are now the second energy producer in the base. The turbines have taken over. Let's see how much iridium we have left. So we started with like 900 and something, right? We actually have enough iridium to make one more turbine. Well, probably even two more turbines. But I know for sure that this reactor is not capable of powering more than when rounded down, right? Because you kind of have to round down to the nearest turbine. This reactor design is only capable of powering 3 turbines. So I'll make one more. I won't show you the process. I think you understand the process of building these turbines enough. But 3 turbines in total will produce 70-some thousand RF. And then the 42,000 from this, we will be producing over 100k RF a tick. Finished the third turbine, gave it some speed or some time to speed up. And I think all 3 are now running at their max speed, which I guess is a hair under the 1800 magic number, and they produce actually just over 28,000, not 27,000. All 3 should be more or less the same. They're running, at their equilibrium state. So to power all this, I had to retract our fuel rods or control rods to 22%. At this point, we're just barely producing 6,000 millibuckets per tick of fuel. Of steam. The fuel consumption is down quite low. In fact, it's only 400-ish degrees in there. That's almost warm enough or cool enough you can go swimming in it, right? I mean, you are a magma monster? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, we're now producing a whole lot of power. However, we're not actually using all of the power. For one, I can only I'm only converting so much of it from the one channel to the other. So to improve this, we need the cryo stabilized flux duct. Just a single piece will do, so let's make just like one craft of that. But I believe, if memory serves me right, that the cryo stabilized flux duct uses ethereal glass. I think that's the only thing we're missing. So ethereal glass uses unstable ingots. which cannot be crafted in this crafting table. It has to be crafted in a vanilla crafting table. This recipe here doesn't work if you do it in the crafting terminal. Crafting with unstable ingots is fun though. So let's make just a single one. Iron Division Sigil Diamond. And it says there's a bunch of text here, but it will explode after 10 seconds. It will explode if the crafting window is closed, and they don't stack. Alright, so make one of these, put it in here. If I just let it stay there long enough, it'll, in 5 seconds, it'll blow up and kill me. It doesn't actually do damage to any blocks, but it does kill you. That's pretty bad, right? Anyways, let's make, I guess we can only make 3 of these. Alright, 3 it is. Then we fill them with gelid cryothium. So I think it's 6 pieces of cryothium, or 3 ducts. And these flux ducts can transfer a limitless amount of RF. I mean, there is a limit, but it's the limit imposed by, what RF is. And that is a 32-bit signed integer. What machine am I looking for? I'm too fast sometimes. Right, this one. So melt the cryothium and fill the flux ducts. There is actually one way we can use this, such as it not to explode. If we make the nuggets, we can make 9 nuggets and then turn that into an ingot, and that won't blow us up. However, that requires 9 uses of our division sigil, which only has, 255 left. I mean, I guess that's probably fine. At some point, I'll definitely want to make the stabilized division sigil. So there's a lot of text here. Let's see. This is how you, a lot of text about how you stable. Well, yeah. So first you activate the sigil. Our sigil is active, but then you can stabilize it. And if you stabilize the sigil, wait, no, this is still the activation ritual. It's documented on the wiki. But if you follow those instructions, you get a division sigil that makes ingots for you that don't explode. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. It's a lot of really weird steps. But anyways, trial stabilized flux ducts. We can just drop this here. And now we can transfer a limitless amount of RF between the two tesseracts. We're still not using all the RF we're producing though, because geez, broke my pick. Let me fix that first. Wow, I'm down to 1,500 steel ingots. I mean, I suppose that's not terribly surprising. Each of those turbines costs like 1,000 steel ingots, 500 plus endurium ingots, a bunch of other stuff. I kind of made it look easy to craft. I mean, it wasn't that hard to craft, but a lot of that was because I had such robust infrastructure. Oh, look, it managed to repair itself from one of the traits. Yeah, the reason it looks so easy to craft is because we have all this passive crafting infrastructure here, providing the resources for it. Alright, anyways, what was I doing? Right, I was saying how we weren't using all the energy. So, our only huge RF energy consumer in general is this mass fabricator here. However, in order for it to consume energy, we have to transform energy from EU to RF. So, let's continue to, or other way around, from RF to EU. So let's continue this line of flux ducts and MFSUs. We actually, instead of using MFSUs, should probably use transformers. So if we use the EV transformer, we can supply it with, first of all, it can do the work of, it can output up to 8192 EU per tick. And an EU transformer or EV transformer is just a lot cheaper to make than an MFSU. Because IC2's energy net is incomplete in this version of Minecraft, I'm allowed to just use EV output on copper cables with literally any machine. So thanks IC2, I guess. Each EV transformer can receive up to 8,000 EU a tick, so that's 32,000-ish RF a tick, which is a lot. So 3 of these can transform 100% of our energy output to EU if needed. Each HV wire connector, though, can actually only transport 4,000 RF a tick or 1,000 EU a tick. So I guess we're ultimately limited by the number of HV, or the amount of RF we can convert into EU. If we do it like this, right, we can access 4 sides of the transformer. Technically, we can do the 5th side if we use the bottom, but the difference isn't that big. So we're not even using the full output of the EV transformer, but oh well. So to that end, though, we might need a couple more. 6 of them ought to be enough. So each one is transforming, well, when we set it to step up mode, by default it's in redstone signal equals step up, which means without a redstone signal, it's in step down mode. But yeah, set it to step up mode. Each one transforms, let's say it's 4,000 RF each, so 16,000 RF into 4,000 EU. 6 of them is 24,000 EU, or over 100,000 RF. Plus what we already have. This should be able to keep up with our production. Gotta get some copper cable because it's totally reasonable to be able to jam 25, 30,000 EU a tick through copper cable, right? Not a bug or anything. No, it's a feature. Make me another couple thousand of these, please. Just for comparison's sake, let's look at the rate that we produce scrap now, or not scrap, UU matter. Like 1 piece of UU matter every second, maybe a bit more than that. And that's before plugging this in, and after. No explosions. That's good. And oh boy, we are actually we're consuming the scrap faster than my item conduit can extract it, because I don't have speed upgrades in there. And this is this is multiple millibuckets of UU matter per second, right? This is a huge improvement. I'm going to continue to turn it all into iridium. In fact, we're producing UU matter faster than a replicator can work. So that means we need a overclocker in the replicator. By the time you're putting overclockers in your replicator, you know you're generating a lot of power. The replicator is a pretty power-hungry machine. The overclocker does make it more power-hungry, but it does not make it less UU matter efficient. So yeah, I think at this point we're consuming the UU matter slightly faster than we produce it, which is good. All right, so let me grab a conduit upgrade for this scrap thing here. Uh-oh, that's an unexpected problem. Oh wait, it works now. I was actually out of... Oh, it worked that time because it used a different type of cobblestone. I think I'm out of cobblestone. My, yeah, oh, I'm out of gravel too. I'm just out of everything. Indeed, I have 0 cobblestone. Why is this? Did you get jammed? Oh, because it says world interaction upgrades, it does the other thing that world interaction upgrades allow transfer nodes to do, and that is literally suck up items from the world. So like, when I broke this piece here, right, to expand this cobblestone generator, the piece of cobble it produced, I guess, ended up jamming this up. And that probably had a cascading effect, causing everything to die out. Whatever. That's fixed now. So if I put these item conduit speed upgrades into here, 5 should be plenty. And the extract. This should maintain a steady supply of scrap as long as we produce it fast enough. I'm going to leave this running for a couple of minutes, and we'll check back to see if, basically, if our scrap drawer remains full, we're producing scrap fast enough. In a couple minutes, and our scrap drawer is still basically full. We did drain the internal buffers of all our recyclers, so I suspect that the average scrap usage is like just a hair higher than our average scrap production, but it's close enough that if 1% of the time, or some very low percent of the time the mass fabricator has to run without scrap, that's okay. We'll let it be. So yeah, with that, I think our power journeys are now complete for the foreseeable future. We now make enough power to satisfy my hunger. And by my hunger, I mean the hunger of the mass fabricator. You might be wondering, Jimmy, why are you making all this power to make iridium? Because all you do with your iridium is make more power. Yeah, that's a good question. I sometimes find myself asking that too. In the long term, we're going to need a lot of this iridium to make these solar panels. Because if we look at, let's see, the quantum core makes a quantum solar panel, takes a bunch of iridium because this is 8 hybrids plus the quantum core, but you need 9 of these for the creative energy cell, and the creative energy cell, you need 4 creative energy cells for the creative tank, and you need the creative tank for the creative mana pool. We're definitely not at the level where we're like, I'm honestly about to make the creatives, but we're pretty close to the end of the pure tech side of the pack. Draconic Evolution, I'm going to count as a tech and magic mod because it just in order to like progress in it, you have to make all these, the various magic alloys, void metal, steel, but you also need the tech alloys, iridium, plutonium. So, but yeah, at this point, I think we're at the end of the pure tech side. As we move on now, tomorrow when we get back into things, we'll probably tackle magic. But let's do one last thing here. Empty this chest out, turn NEI back on, and see how much iridium we produce between episodes. In any event, that's all I've got for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.